Citadel, Vallejo. Odds are, if you've been in the hobby long enough and you use acrylics, you've asked yourself a variation of this question: what do I choose? Well, in this video, we're going to be helping you out. Now, obviously, the majority of this video, if not all of it really, is all subjective, except for one. The first point is going to be, there's some hard numbers there, not statistics, just literally like a hard number. And we're going to be discussing that. That may swing the vote from one brand to another, vice versa. But the rest of the points, subjective, my opinion versus yours. You like what you like what you don't like. You don't like what you don't like. What am I saying? So again, it's all subjective, no harm done, no love lost. But again, maybe someone out there needs a guide. They've never used either or, they've only used one or the other. This may convince you. Let's just get the numbers out of the way because everything else will be subjective. This is the only one with actual hard verifiable info. Vallejo is the bigger line, or bigger brand overall, not in terms of brand recognition, though that may be arguable as well, but in terms of the amount of paints they carry. Overall, they carry 544 paints, and that's just from their main paint line. The paint lines I'm talking about, of course, is Model Color, Model Air, Game Color, and Vallejo Express paints, all of which are 544, but I haven't even talked about the other side stuff like the weathering effects, diorama effects, the premium airbrushing polyurethane acrylic paints, Mecca. We have Game Air Panzer Aces, which I'm not sure if it's still in production. I think it is. And you can even include the pigments and the metal color stuff. Compare that to Citadel, which is just this rack. Nice rack, but this is it. We got contrast paint, shades, layer paints, dries, technical stuff, and the pre-thinned air paints. So yes, despite the compactness of Citadel's rack, which is still massive, by the way, you saw all the categories. Verbatim, according to their website, Citadel's own website, they have 300 paints in their paint line. Compare that to 544 in just the main Vallejo paint lines alone, at least the best-selling ones. So number-wise, I think it's going to go to Vallejo. Now let's move on to one of the more subjective complaints regarding Vallejo and Citadel. Now, I said complaints there regarding Vallejo and Citadel, but really it's just a complaint regarding Citadel, and that's the lack of variety. But then you'd be like, Paul, how can a paint line with over 300 paints lack variety? I'll show you what I mean. Now, Game Color is very similar to Citadel and vice versa. I don't know which came first, but it doesn't matter. Basically, Game Color is one of the Vallejo's paint lines, and this is a paint line that is optimized for vibrancy, I guess, like poppiness of the color and how it stands out on a war gaming table. It is geared towards a war gaming sort of I guess hobbyist. So that would be D&D, Warhammer, Marvel, Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Legion, all this other things, Battletech, right? So these are colors that are geared towards that. So you might be saying like, yes, I know, and how is that relevant? Well, my point is all of Citadel's colors are geared towards Warhammer and just wargaming in general. Now, obviously Warhammer, because Games Workshop is the parent company and they make Warhammer. So that is what they're geared towards. And every single paint line, from the bases, the contrast, the layers, dries, it's all kind of, there's no realistic earth tones. Let's just say that. You're not going to find FS numbers, RS, all these numbers that are even vaguely sniffing military colors. You're not going to find that here. So Citadel, kind of, I wouldn't say alienates. Technically speaking, they kind of do. They definitely don't look out for the other modelers that may have been interested in their paint line, but they found that their paints aren't really worth to them because they don't do war gaming, right? They only do Tamiya kits or Revell or Italeri kits, right? Dragon kits and such, RCM, Ryefield, Border. None of these kits ever really need vibrancy, paints that are this vibrant. See, this is what Citadel is lacking, the more realistic stuff. They're still vibrant, but they're kind of optimized to be sniffing or even be accurate to military colors, both in the past and in the present that's being in use right now. So FS numbers and such, they might have delisted the FS listing, but you can still find the corresponding numbers. I'm sure there's listings out there online, right? Fan made maybe, or even by Vallejo and such. Regardless, these colors are optimized for that. So again, if you do Tamiya, all of these kinds of kits, you'll be using model color all the time. Same with model air, which is just model color but pre-thinned for the most part. Obviously there's some variance there, and not a lot of colors are the same, but still lots of realistic things. Games Workshop and Citadel don't really have that. Now, I'm not saying that they have to have it for your paint line to be valid. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you're serving a niche, be the best in that niche. However, I'm saying is they often have a decent to big overlap in terms of consumers, and one winner. There's only one winner here in terms of who can serve the most and who can serve the colors that you want. Even if you're doing Warhammer, I imagine you've found a model color paint that you like, not game color, model color. Now for specialized paint lines like contrast, this is where it's a lot closer, at least when we're talking purely contrast paints. Now, for Vallejo, they're called Express. Now, if I'm not mistaken, at least in the mainstream, Citadel were the first to come up and release a widespread contrast paint line. I think dating as far back as early to mid 2020. Maybe 2021, I'm misremembering, but Vallejo took their time to release their Express colors. I think they released their Express colors mid to late, was it 2023? Yeah, I think so. So they took their time, unlike Army Painter released 1.0 like a year later. Anyway, what I'm getting at is quality-wise, I'm actually going to have to give it to Citadel. In my opinion, they also have the best acrylic washes. And contrast paints are just the base paints, like the main colors like this, plus the formulation of a wash. They flow kind of like that. So I'm gonna have to slightly give it to Citadel, as everyone else was playing catch up. But don't sneeze at Vallejo, because they have quite a few. In fact, I think they have 59, if I'm not mistaken, Express color paints. So that's basically at the number that Citadel has. Citadel overall, though, not just contrast, have more unique colors. I will give them that. They're incredible for that. They have a lot of unique flavors that you won't really find anywhere else. Even with the game color paint line in mind and the new Express colors in mind, the Citadel still has a lot of unique colors. So that's one for them. But at the end of the day, I would say that the uniqueness of Citadel may not be enough. So what do you notice about these two paints? That's right, one's in a dropper, one's in a bucket. No one likes the buckets. At least I can probably count the number of people in person who likes the buckets. Everyone else prefers the droppers, allows you to measure them quickly, concisely. You know the ratios of your paints really well. You can kind of do that with the buckets, but you have to use a brush or some sort of micro brush, a toothpick perhaps, right, to kind of simulate the dropper thing. But the problem with the droppers, the problem with the buckets is that they don't close properly. Even this is sealed, but look at it, it's like begging to open. So when you open this, it might just fling open. Even if you're closing, if there's dried paint in the back there, if you're not careful, it might not close. In fact, I say limited edition, but really I just got it from the theater in 2005 for Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars. So I have that shirt. And one time in 2023, I was painting a Death Guard mini, shaking the bottle. Little did I know that it wasn't fully closed, because there's a dried part right there that I never noticed. and it exploded in my hand while I was shaking it, ruining the shirt that I was wearing, that limited edition Revenge of the Sith shirt. Rest in peace. Press F in the chat for that shirt. It wouldn't come off no matter what I did. It was so baked in, the entire paint bucket spilled on it. Whereas there's no chance in heck that this happens to Vallejo. In fact, they even upgraded it in the brand new release for their rebrand. All of them have this band around their paints, right, for sealing. So that's great. Now, the dropper versus bucket argument is already not in favor. It's never going to go Citadel's way. More often than not, people hate it over the droppers. Everyone uses the droppers. AK uses them. Vallejo uses them. Army Painter uses them, right? Tooth and Coats uses them. Ammo by MiG uses them. They're the only ones really with buckets for their main paint line. So that's a damning argument for Citadel fans. They know about it. They hate it too. But this last one, I feel like if I don't address it, despite being told not to address this for every other thing in the store, I feel like if I don't address it, we're going to be called like shills for Games Workshop, even though I've done nothing but praise Vallejo in this video. But I'm going to address it. So yeah, here it goes. The last but not least is the forbidden point. The comments will call me out. If I don't, I know people are going like, Paul, where is this? Where is this point regarding Citadel? Yeah, the pricing. Now, I know I'm not supposed to talk about pricing. It's subject to the economy, inflation, and a bunch of other things, especially with the current climate, which I won't even get into, right? But guys, it will be a cold day in hell, all right? Before Citadel goes down to Vallejo's price level. Or Vallejo suddenly ramps up in price and matches Citadel's prices. It will, guys, it will probably never happen. That is one of the biggest things holding back, if not the biggest thing holding back Citadel from truly overtaking Vallejo in terms of king of acrylics. Vallejo wins, all right? Vallejo wins. Even discounting that last point, the dropper to bucket point is such a significant point to why people hate Citadel. Paints dry faster as well, and the spillages and such, they're legendary. So guys, that's it for me today. Follow us, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Follow us on all our social media platforms. We're most active on TikTok and Instagram, but we're also active on all the others. Blue Sky, X, right, formerly known as Twitter. We're active there too. And obviously follow us and subscribe to our YouTube. We're almost at 10K. I say almost, we're about to hit 6. The goal is to hit 10K before end of summer. Hopefully we can get there before then. We are working on the studio at the moment, and hopefully things go well in that department. Everything we've envisioned goes well, you know. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.